Level 1. The Broke Beginner. Your bank account shows £7.43. You stare at the number longer than you want to. Rent is due. Your phone bill is waiting. There is nothing in your fridge that looks remotely like a meal. And when your friends make plans for the weekend, you already know the answer before they ask. You can't afford it. So you stay home. Then, late at night, while scrolling through your phone, you see something that changes the direction of your life. A video. Someone is standing in front of a pile of clothing, showing off items they bought cheaply and sold for more. A jacket bought for £8, sold for £35. A pair of trainers bought for £20, sold for £70. You pause. You check the numbers again. You open Vinted. You search for the same brands, and suddenly the world around you looks different. You realize that the things sitting in people's wardrobes have value. The old jacket hanging in someone's cupboard, the trainers they haven't worn in 2 years, the vintage football shirt their parents bought them when they were younger. Someone doesn't want it anymore. Someone else does. And somewhere in between those two people, there is room for you. You don't know it yet, but you have just discovered reselling. At first, you don't even think of yourself as a businessman. You are broke. That's all you know. You don't have a warehouse. You don't have employees. You don't have thousands of pounds to invest. You have £7.43. So you start with what you can afford. You search your own room, then your parents' house, then your friends' wardrobes. You find an old hoodie you haven't worn in years. You photograph it on your bedroom floor. The lighting is terrible. The background is messy. The description says almost nothing. You list it for £12. Then you wait. Nothing happens. You check your phone. Nothing. You check again. Still nothing. Then, at 11:47 p.m., your phone vibrates. Someone has bought it. £12. You stare at the screen. It isn't much, but suddenly the £7.43 in your bank account doesn't feel like a dead end. It feels like starting capital. You package the hoodie using an old delivery bag. You walk to the nearest parcel shop. And when the money reaches your account, you don't spend it. You reinvest it. That is your first rule. Money doesn't disappear. It multiplies. You spend £5 on a pair of jeans from a charity shop. You sell them for £18. Then you buy 2 shirts. Then 4. You begin learning. You learn that brands matter, condition matters, photos matter, timing matters. You start waking up earlier. You search listings before school or work. You scroll through charity shops. You check Facebook Marketplace. You visit car boot sales with £20 in your pocket, knowing that every pound has a job. You find a vintage Nike sweatshirt for £6. You buy it. You clean it. You photograph it. You list it. 3 days later, it sells for £32. Your profit is £26. You feel something you haven't felt in a long time. Control. Not much, but some. And that is what pulls you deeper. Because reselling isn't just about clothes anymore. It's about seeing opportunity where everyone else sees clutter. You begin carrying a mental calculator everywhere. You walk into a charity shop and immediately scan the rails. Nike, Adidas, Levi's, Carhartt. You don't look at clothes the same way anymore. You look at margins. And slowly, your identity starts changing. You are no longer the person with 7 pounds and 43 pence. You are the person who knows how to turn 7 pounds into 20 pounds. Then 20 pounds into 50 pounds. Then 50 pounds into 100 pounds. The first time you make 100 pounds in a week, you don't tell anyone. You just stare at the number. Because now you understand something. You don't need permission to start. But you also discover the first hidden rule. Nobody cares how much you made. They care whether you can do it again. Level 2, the prover. You have 300 pounds in your account now. 300 pounds. 6 months ago, that number felt impossible. Now, it feels insufficient. Your room is changing. Clothing is stacked against the walls. Boxes sit underneath your bed. Your phone is constantly vibrating. Someone is asking for measurements. Someone wants a discount. Someone says the item never arrived. Someone wants to know if the stain in the photograph is actually there. You answer everyone. Because at this level, your reputation is everything. One bad review can destroy weeks of work. So you become obsessive. You clean everything. You photograph everything. You measure everything. You learn exactly how long it takes to process an order. You create spreadsheets. You track purchase price, sale price, fees, postage, profit. You discover that selling something for 40 pounds doesn't mean you made 40 pounds. You begin thinking in margins. A 10-pound purchase that sells for 30 pounds looks good. A 25-pound purchase that sells for 35 pounds doesn't. You start making decisions differently. You stop buying things because you like them. You buy them because someone else will. That distinction changes you. At first, you still make mistakes. You buy a fake designer item because you don't recognize the signs. You lose 60 pounds. You buy a jacket that sits unsold for 4 months. You buy 20 cheap t-shirts because the price is low. Nobody wants them. Your money gets trapped in stock, and suddenly, you understand another rule. Inventory is power only when it moves. Dead stock is a prison. So you become faster. You learn which brands sell, which sizes move, which trends disappear, which seasons matter. You learn to walk away. That is your first real sign of progress. You don't need to buy everything. You only need to buy the right things. Your reputation grows. 5-star reviews begin appearing, then 20, then 50. Your username becomes recognizable. Customers return. Someone messages you asking if you have anything else from the same brand. You realize you have built something. Not a company, not yet, but a name. And in reselling, reputation becomes a currency. A buyer who trusts you is worth more than 10 random customers. You begin building relationships with other sellers. One tells you about a charity shop that receives high-end donations every Tuesday. Another knows a car boot sale where traders arrive at 6 a.m. Someone else tells you about a local clearance warehouse. Information starts becoming more valuable than money. You have 1,000 pounds in stock, then 2,000 pounds. You are still doing everything yourself. You photograph, clean, list, package, post, negotiate. You are awake at midnight answering messages. You tell yourself it is temporary, just until you make enough money. But deep down, you already know. You are no longer trying to escape being broke. You are trying to become powerful. And that requires trust. Level 3, the trusted participant. The message arrives on a Tuesday morning. A seller you have known for months sends you a location, then a question. How much can you move? You don't understand what it means at first. Then you realize they have stock, a lot of it, thousands of pounds worth. They don't want to list it themselves. They need someone reliable, someone who won't disappear with the money, someone who understands the market, someone who can move products quickly. You say yes. The first batch is worth 1,500 pounds. You don't own it. You are trusted with it. That difference changes everything. You now have responsibility. If you lose the stock, you lose someone's trust. If you sell it badly, you damage their reputation. If you disappear, you don't just lose your account, you lose access to the network. So you become careful. Your room becomes a small operation, a rail for unlisted items, a rail for photographed items, boxes labeled by platform, a spreadsheet tracking every transaction. You create systems. You stop thinking about individual sales. You think about volume. 10 items, 20, 50, 100. You start earning money without personally finding every item. That is the first real taste of leverage. But leverage creates pressure. The person who gives you access expects results. They don't care that you are tired. They don't care that you have exams. They don't care that you had a bad week. They want the stock sold. You discover the internal code of the reseller ecosystem. Never lie about condition. Never hide defects. Never steal someone's buyer. Never expose another seller's source. Never break a promise involving money. And never become desperate. Because desperation is visible. People can sense when you need a deal more than they need you. Your reputation grows. People start sending you opportunities. A supplier offers you 50 pieces at 12 pounds each. You sell them for an average of 35 pounds. Your turnover jumps. 500 pounds becomes 2,000 pounds. 2,000 pounds becomes 5,000 pounds. For the first time, you have enough money to change your life. But you don't. You reinvest. More stock, better equipment, better photography, a dedicated room, a proper storage system. You realize that every time you grow, your freedom shrinks. When you have 10 items, you can disappear for a weekend. When you have 500, you can't. Someone is always waiting. A customer, a supplier, a buyer, a courier, a partner. Your phone becomes an extension of your nervous system. You sleep beside it. You wake up and check sales before you check the time. You tell yourself that this is success. And maybe it is, but you are learning the price. The more people depend on you, the less you can walk away. By now, you are no longer just a reseller. You are becoming an operator. Level 4, the skilled operator. You move into a small storage unit. It's 200 square feet. The rent is 180 pounds a month. The walls are plain. The lighting is terrible. But to you, it feels like a headquarters. You have 800 items inside. Every item has a number. Every box has a location. You know where everything is. Your entire business runs through a spreadsheet. You have sales targets, weekly sourcing budgets, profit margins, return rates. You learn the language of efficiency. You don't ask, how much can I sell this for? You ask, how quickly can I turn this into cash? You start sourcing in bulk. Instead of buying one jacket, you buy 20. Instead of visiting one charity shop, you visit 10. Instead of waiting for customers, you create demand. You build accounts across multiple platforms. You experiment with pricing. You test photographs. You learn algorithms. You study trends. You notice what people buy before they know they want it. Your turnover reaches 10,000 pounds a month, then 15,000 pounds, then 20,000 pounds. People around you start noticing. They ask what you do. You give them a vague answer. You don't explain everything, because you have learned another rule. Information is power. The person who knows where the stock comes from has leverage. The person who knows what sells has leverage. The person who controls the relationship has even more. You begin keeping secrets, not because you are evil, because the business demands it. You stop telling people your best sources. You stop revealing your margins. You stop explaining exactly how you find profitable items. You begin protecting the machine. And the machine is growing. You hire someone for 8 hours a week, then 20. You teach them how to photograph, then list, then package. Suddenly, someone else is doing work that you used to do. You should feel free. Instead, you feel nervous. Because now, mistakes can happen without you seeing them. So you create rules, checklists, quality control, passwords, access levels. You learn that power isn't just about having people work for you. It's about making sure they cannot destroy what you built. Your business becomes more efficient, but you become more distant from the work. You don't touch every item anymore. You don't know every customer. You don't know every transaction. You sit behind a screen and watch numbers move. 1,000 pounds, 3,000 pounds, 7,000 pounds. The numbers become abstract. Then, one morning, you realize something. You have built a business that can survive without you for a day. Level 5, the insider. People know your name now. Not everyone, but enough. Suppliers call you first. Other resellers ask for advice. Beginners message you every week. How do I start? Where do you source? Is this brand worth buying? You answer some. You ignore most. Because your time has become more valuable. You are now respected. But respect is different from popularity. You have earned it through consistency. You pay on time. You don't waste people's time. You don't make promises you can't keep. When you say you will move 300 items in 30 days, you move them. That reliability gives you access. A warehouse owner offers you a deal. A supplier gives you priority. Another reseller wants to partner with you. The ecosystem begins opening doors. But every door has a price. You start taking larger risks. You put 15,000 pounds into one bulk purchase. For the first time, you feel fear again. Not the fear of being broke, a different kind. The fear of losing something you already have. You spend 3 nights calculating the risk. Then, you approve the deal. The stock arrives. You sell it. You make 6,000 pounds profit. Your account balance rises. Your reputation rises with it. And now, people trust you with bigger numbers. You become the person who connects people. A supplier needs buyers. A buyer needs stock. A reseller needs capital. You know who can help. That knowledge becomes your real asset. You don't need to own everything. You just need to know who does. You start earning from connections, commissions, partnerships, bulk deals. You begin taking percentages. The business becomes larger, and your personal involvement becomes smaller. But something changes inside you. You become suspicious. You question everyone's motives. If someone suddenly becomes friendly, you wonder what they want. If someone offers a deal, you look for the hidden cost. If someone asks for information, you wonder who they are really working for. Trust becomes expensive. You still have friends, but fewer people understand your world. You have money. You have respect. You have access. But you don't have the innocence you started with. Level 6, the authority. You don't discover your authority in one dramatic moment. It happens slowly. One day, you notice that a supplier waits for your answer before selling a batch. A reseller changes their price after you enter the market. A new seller asks you whether they should accept a deal. You have become an authority. Your decisions affect other people. You now control access. You decide who gets stock, who gets introduced, who gets trusted, who gets ignored. You don't have a formal title. You don't need one. Your reputation is the title. You manage multiple sellers. You have a storage facility. You have staff. You have accounts generating consistent revenue. The numbers are bigger now. £30,000 months, £50,000 months, maybe more. But revenue isn't wealth. You know that better than anyone. Costs are rising. Staff need paying. Stock needs funding. Returns happen. Platforms change their rules. One mistake can freeze thousands of pounds. So you build layers. You create backup suppliers, backup accounts, backup systems. You prepare for failure before it happens. You become harder to surprise. But the consequences grow. When a beginner loses 100 pounds, they learn a lesson. When you lose 10,000 pounds, someone else's wages may be affected. That responsibility changes you. You become less emotional. A supplier you have known for years breaks an agreement. You cut them off. No argument, no revenge, just silence. The relationship is over. You learn that loyalty has limits. At the lower levels, loyalty feels personal. At your level, loyalty becomes conditional. People are loyal while the relationship benefits both sides. You understand this. You also understand that the same rule applies to you. You are respected, but you are watched. Everyone wants to know what you are doing next, because your moves create opportunities for some people and problems for others. You realize that your greatest power isn't money, it's influence. And influence attracts people. Some want to learn. Some want to work. Some want to take. You become very good at telling the difference. Then, eventually, someone offers you a seat at a table you didn't know existed. There are only a few people in the room, and they are not discussing individual sales. They are discussing the market itself. Level 7. The Power Broker. You no longer think in items, you think in systems. 100 jackets are inventory, 1,000 are a supply chain. You understand the movement of products before they reach the customer. You know which brands are rising, which trends are fading, which suppliers are struggling, which sellers are expanding too quickly, which platforms are becoming more important. Information surrounds you, and information is leverage. Someone calls you with an opportunity. Another person needs funding. A third person needs access to stock. You connect them. The deal happens. You take a percentage. You didn't touch the product. You didn't photograph it. You didn't package it. You simply moved information between people who needed each other. That is power. Your income becomes less visible. It comes from agreements, partnerships, ownership stakes, commissions, wholesale relationships. You have built something larger than yourself, but you have also built something you cannot easily leave, because now people depend on your decisions. You can't suddenly disappear. If you stop answering, deals stall. If you withdraw funding, businesses struggle. If you change suppliers, entire networks adjust. You have become part of the infrastructure, and infrastructure doesn't get to take holidays. Your calendar is full. Your phone never stops. You own expensive things now, but you don't enjoy them the way you expected. You buy a better car. You drive it for a week. Then it becomes normal. You move into a bigger house. The extra rooms stay empty. You have money to travel, but every trip comes with a phone call. Every dinner gets interrupted. You have achieved freedom from financial insecurity, but you have lost freedom from responsibility. Then comes the most dangerous illusion. You start believing you control the system. You don't. You control pieces of it. The market can change. A platform can ban an account. A supplier can disappear. A trend can collapse. A trusted person can betray you. You understand this intellectually, but power makes people overconfident. You start taking bigger risks. You believe your reputation will protect you. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. One decision costs you £40,000. You survive, but something inside you changes. You realize that no amount of money makes you untouchable. It only makes your mistakes more expensive. So you stop expanding. You consolidate. You remove yourself from daily operations. You build systems designed to survive without you. You create layers between yourself and the business. Managers, partners, directors, advisors, people who handle problems before they reach you. And eventually, almost nothing reaches you directly. Level 8, the architect. The room is quiet. There is no warehouse noise, no boxes, no parcel labels, no customers asking where their order is. You sit alone in an office overlooking a city that barely knows you exist. Your business operates across multiple locations. You have people managing people who manage other people. Thousands of transactions happen without your involvement. Money moves, stock moves, decisions are made, and your name appears only when something important requires it. You have reached the top, or at least the closest thing the system has to one. You don't need to prove yourself anymore. You don't need to show anyone your sales figures. You don't need to explain how much you make. The people who matter already know. Your power is quiet. You can make one phone call and move thousands of pounds worth of inventory. You can introduce two people and create a partnership worth hundreds of thousands. You can refuse a deal and watch someone else lose access to an opportunity. You don't need to threaten anyone. You don't need to shout. You simply decide. And then you realize how far you have traveled. You think back to the beginning. £7.43, a bedroom floor, an old hoodie, a charity shop, a phone with a cracked screen. You remember how excited you feel when the first £12 sale arrives. You remember thinking that money would make you free. Now you have more money than you ever imagined, and you are less free than ever. Your business depends on you. Your reputation depends on your decisions. Your partners depend on your judgment. Your employees depend on the company surviving. Your suppliers depend on your orders. Your network depends on your relationships. You are surrounded by people, but you are alone. Because nobody at your level can completely trust anyone else. You understand incentives too well. You know what people want: money, access, status, security. You know that loyalty can disappear when the numbers change. So you keep everyone at a distance. You build systems. You build contracts. You build procedures. You build layers of protection. And slowly, without noticing, you build a life where nobody can truly reach you. You have everything you once wanted, except the person you were when you wanted it. That person is gone. The broke beginner who sees an opportunity in an old jacket doesn't exist anymore. In their place is someone who sees markets, risks, margins. You don't look at a £10 item and wonder whether it is worth buying. You look at the system behind it. Who owns it? Who supplied it? Who controls the relationship? Who profits? Who is taking the risk? You understand the game now, and that understanding has a cost. Because you finally see the truth. The higher you climb, the less freedom you have.